Hello, everyone. This is Maya Zahira with PsychicProtectionSanctuary.com. Today's date is June 17th, 2025. I'm kind of in a time warp right now, so I had to really think about that. So I am excited to get on here and record this. This is a brand new segment called Ask Maya. So we're going to start off with just a little bit of chit chat, and then I'm going to get to the question because someone has a question for me. So first of all, I am going to be on my YouTube channel a little bit more than before in a very intentional way. So this is part of that new intention, is this new Ask Maya segment. And here's how it works. So throughout the month, as you watch the content on the channel, and there's more than 100 videos on there, but if you're watching the new content or something older, it doesn't matter. As you are genuinely watching that content, thinking about it, and you have an authentic question that comes up for you, and you post it in the comments of that video, I will consider your question for my next Ask Maya segment. And excuse me, I won't generally choose a question if I can tell that you wanted me to interact with you and you just posted a random question on any video. I can kind of tell when that's the case, but if I can tell, like, you really did watch the video and you have a question about what I taught in the video. And so this is my way of interacting with you more, and it's also my way of encouraging you to interact with the videos, to make comments and so on. And so I will do at least one of these Ask Maya segments each month. I'm going to see how it goes. As a former type A personality, workaholic person, I have become very intentional about making sure that I don't try to do all the things all the time. So that's why I'm setting the goal of just doing it once a month, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll end up doing it more. And then just a little bit of chit chat before we get to today's question. So what have I been up to today? I thought, since it's the middle of the day, I thought I would just let you know that first thing that I do in the morning, well, not the first thing that I do, because I get up very early and I do my meditation routine out in nature and I do all my personal things. But then, like, part of the beginning of my work day is at 9 o'clock in the morning. I log in my members only group for my Spiritual Empowerment Academy, and I answer all of their questions. And so they get access to me every single morning, Monday through Friday. And I spend, as long as I need to answer everybody's questions. And then lunch and stuff like that. And then I just finished writing chapter 3 of my new book. My new book is all about false light. And there are a lot of personal stories of encounters. Really, like, as I'm writing it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I cannot believe that I've been through these things. Like, what? I'm editing and I'm reading it back to myself, and I'm like, this is so wild. Like, these stories are wild. Can't wait for the book to be done so you can read these stories. And there's also information. There will also be a lot of information about false light. So I thought I would share that little exciting thing. I'm excited. It's going fast. I've written the introduction, chapter 1, 2, and 3, and it's all fully edited. Well, I'll go back and do one more final edit, but I've read and reread, and I've had people proofread, and I know that's a weird way to write a book, but it works great for me because I hate going back later and having to do deep editing when I'm no longer in the mindset of that story. So I just finished doing all of the editing for chapter 3, and I'll probably be done with chapter 4 this week. And I think there's going to be 9 chapters to this book, and it's going fast. It is possible. My goal was to be done with this book by New Year's, by the end of the year, but I might be done with it by the end of the summer. And we're in summer right now. It's June. So it's just going fast. So I will keep you updated. I'm excited about it, and I love just sharing all of my experiences with all of you guys. So I wanted to share that. So that was a little bit of extra chit chat. Thanks for hanging in there with me. We had a question that I want on the YouTube channel that I wanted to respond to. It was a really good question. Actually, I appreciate all of your comments. So if I ever don't choose you, it's not personal. It's literally, I'm thinking about, like if there's something that somebody asks that I'm like, I have a lot to say about that. Like, I really want to say things about that one. Or if I feel like, this can help the most number of people if I talk about this, right? So I'm thinking in those terms. So I appreciate you. There are some of you that have been really good about commenting. So thank you for that. This is one person who has only commented once. So, but the question is so good. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to be looking at my notes because I literally wrote out a whole page of what I want to say. And there's no way I will remember it all unless I look at it. So this was a comment from ADCE111. And it was, so thank you for your question. It was on the video it was a question posted on the video, what to do if you are under psychic attack. I try not to slurp and it happens. Okay. We're just having fun today. If you want to go and watch that video, all you have to do is go to Psychic Protection Sanctuary YouTube channel, type in what to do if you are under psychic attack, and you will find it. Okay. So the question is, how can Reiki help with psychic attack? The video itself is about all different forms of psychic attack, whether it's black magic, curse, entity attack, like all of the varieties of how a psychic attack could happen to a person. Okay. So the person who asked the question did not clarify if they were, like, they didn't explain what they were dealing with, or if they were just asking generally, or if they are under attack. So I don't know. And that's okay. So let's go ahead and answer this. So first of all, a little bit of background. I have been a Usui Reiki master for over 20 years. And I was studying Reiki and practicing Reiki before it was even popular like it is now. So I'm in my 50s now. I was in my 20s when I started studying Reiki, and I became a Reiki master. I did it as a gift for myself for my 30th birthday. And then I retook all of my coursework with a different lineage later, I think a decade later. I'm not sure of the exact timing. So I'm I love Reiki. I use Reiki every day on myself. I want to give you a little bit of context so you don't just think like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I love Reiki. I do it on myself every single day for self-care. And in my academy, I have also been known to recommend little aspects of Reiki as particular tools to use in a person's tool belt, right? So it's like, oh, if you're dealing with this one thing, here's, out of these 3 tools, here's one that's a Reiki tool that will help you. So it's one tool, right? So that, just pointing out, I don't use Reiki as a primary tool for psychic protection. I don't think that it's meant to be that. So now it's time to look at my notes so I don't leave anything out. I believe that Reiki, which I think everyone now knows what Reiki is, like everyone knows what Reiki is. But if you are the random person, the outlier who doesn't know about Reiki, it's a form of energy balancing, energy healing that is a form that originated in Japan. That's the only history I will go into right now because it doesn't matter for what we're going to talk about. So Reiki itself can help support in a general sort of way, but it does not resolve psychic protection issues in and of itself. And I want to be really clear about that. I have encountered people, in fact, some of my former colleagues from years ago who like Reiki is the main thing that they do. They teach Reiki, they do Reiki. And when they found out that I now, because I also used to teach Reiki for about a decade. And I don't make time for it anymore. I could technically still, but when some of my former colleagues found out that I, many years ago, changed my focus to psychic protection, they were like, oh, well, just do Reiki on it. And I'm like, no. It's like, okay, I tried to think of an analogy, and it's like you're trying to build a house and you're trying to hammer nails into the wall or like into the wood to build this structure, but you don't have a hammer, you're using a screwdriver. And so let's say that Reiki is the screwdriver. Like, the screwdriver will come in handy sometimes. It's not a worthless tool, but it's not the right tool for like, maybe occasionally it's going to help, but it's not a catch-all tool. And I think that sometimes people who are, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but people who are, really, really into Reiki, like when I went through my training the second time, it was through a lineage that had this idea that like Reiki fixes everything in the world. And I love Reiki, but let's be realistic. And I think maybe I have a unique perspective because I've worked with so many clients with psychic protection issues, and I've worked with my own psychic protection issues because I was a spiritually targeted individual in many ways. And I could see firsthand and secondhand that Reiki wasn't the right tool to clear a psychic attack or to clear demonic targeting or like all the things, right? Okay. So it can be a general support tool. Reiki is so I'm just going to give you my perspective. By the way, it's okay if there's Reiki folks out there who disagree and they're like, no, it can fix everything. That's okay. You could think that. I disagree. Okay. From my perspective, with my experience in my area, and having experience in Reiki, I don't think that Reiki is the like catch-all everything tool for psychic protection. In my experience, Reiki is for balancing energies. So it's going to help balance your own energy or the energy of whoever you're working on. It brings energetic harmony. It helps to relieve physical or emotional symptoms. Reiki helps enhance general well-being. And I'm going to say, generally speaking, so like Reiki in general is not directly intended for removing entities or reversing black magic. Now, there are some exceptions to this, and I utilize these exceptions. For example, some of the, and my experience is in the Usui, the traditional Usui form of Reiki. By the way, there are many forms of Reiki out there. There's like, people are making up different forms of Reiki every day. So I can't really speak to all of like the new nouveau forms of Reiki, but the traditional form that I studied, some of the symbols, and out of respect for Reiki, I'm not going to give the details of the symbols, but some of the Reiki symbols can be used as tools to close portals, to remove non-beneficial energy cords, and even to weaken entity attachments. Or if it's an easy entity and a not very dangerous entity, then you could even use some of these Reiki symbols to remove an entity. You can also use some of the Reiki symbols to close, I already mentioned this, to close portals, and things like that. So it's a great tool in your tool belt, but it's one of many tools. One of many tools. There's so many tools for psychic protection, physical tools, and spiritual tools, and these Reiki symbols are just one little tool in your tool belt that I occasionally will recommend to people. Okay, so I'm rarely someone who will give like an opinion that's like, it's always this. I'm not going to say Reiki does nothing for psychic protection. That's not true. You can, like, the more balanced you are, the more you're doing Reiki on yourself, then the more resilient your energy field will be if you do happen to encounter some non-beneficial energy of any source. Yeah, so you'll be more resilient to handle it. So that's a good thing. And then, of course, you can use some of the Reiki symbols to remove non-beneficial energies and some entities. Okay, to my notes. I'm going to get on my soapbox. As a psychic protection expert, Reiki is a great tool, but it is an inexact tool. Like if you're going to remove certain levels of black magic from someone and you're just sending Reiki, it's not a tool of precision. And yes, you can use some master symbols as tools, but you're going to need other methods in addition to that if you're going to work with precision. You need a whole tool belt. And so I want to point out some dangers to just like haphazardly trying to use Reiki techniques to remove, if you have a sense that this is a really dangerous or powerful entity. I need to check the time because I'm teaching a class in a little bit. If you have a sense that you're dealing with some like major black magic or a really significant entity issue on yourself or a client, please be careful. I just want to be totally honest with you. After I started to specialize in psychic protection, there was a leader in the Reiki field who said, oh, well, we can do entities too. So, and I'm not giving any identifying information, but they created a list, and you go through and you draw this symbol and you draw this symbol and you do this and you do this procedure, and utilizing Reiki in order to remove this like nasty, like severe entity. Okay. We need psychic protection tools. So it's not a bad thing to have some tools out there or like this checklist that someone created. But I honestly was appalled, because it's like all these people are being trained with this checklist, and it's teaching people that it is safe and okay to perform surgery on yourself or your client blindfolded. Blindfolded, okay? Because if you, I'm sorry for getting so intense here, but I've never talked about this before. I've just kept it to myself, stayed in my own lane, and if people are utilizing that Reiki tool, if you know what I'm talking about, like, that's your choice, is totally fine. But there are dangers. There is something that I write about in my book, The Psychic Attack Sourcebook. I talk about backlash, that if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're not clairvoyant and you don't have psychic abilities, so you don't know what you're removing, you're just like, you're reaching in, you're drawing the symbol, and you're like, I hope it's okay. I'm going to use this procedure, but I don't know what I'm clearing. You could be dealing with major backlash, either you, if you're doing the procedure on yourself, or your client, or you as the practitioner. You might get blasted really bad. Okay? Because if you're clearing something that you don't even know what you're clearing, that's super dangerous. I'm not going to mince words. It's super dangerous. The Reiki Master symbol isn't going to save you from that. Like, you've just screwed yourself bad. Okay? I'm giving you guys some tough love here. I love you. I'm finally speaking my truth about this. There are other aspects that I talk about in the Psychic Attack Sourcebook, such as booby traps. So whether it's an entity attachment, some other paranormal situation, or black magic of whatever flavor, sometimes there are what I call booby traps, spiritual programs placed in with that issue, so that if you or someone else comes in and tries to remove it, it creates a situation that's 100 times worse. Like an onslaught of the worst, horrible stuff you can imagine. Like, if the person thought they were dealing with a psychic attack, then now it's 100 or 1,000 times worse, and they're just screwed because you didn't know what you're doing. Okay? So I guess my lesson would be, or my caution would be, to be cautious. Don't assume that, oh, I've got this like Reiki tool or something and I'm going to clear out everything. You have to be careful. I would say, if you are a practitioner and you're a Reiki practitioner, let's say, and you're like, oh, well, occasionally I do have a client here or there who has, I can tell they have something really nasty attached to them. And that used to happen to me years ago when my main practice was Reiki. And so here are a couple of recommendations. You can read my book, The Psychic Attack Sourcebook, so you at least have more of an idea of the kinds of things you might be dealing with. And then you can make a better informed decision of, do I want to go ahead and try to do this removal for this client, or do I refer them on to someone who clears entity attachments? Because there are people who specialize in that. Okay. So that's another thing, is a lot of clients don't know if they're having an entity issue. I remember years ago when I was living in the Midwest, there was someone who was having entity issues and really dark energy in their home, and they did not know what to do. And they genuinely did not know what to do, so they called the Reiki master that they knew in that metropolitan area. And the Reiki master, I think, was the type who was like, Reiki can fix everything. And although the Reiki master declined because she had a busy schedule, but honestly, I was really appalled. I was like, why? So I was thinking toward the practitioner, why did you lead this client to believe that Reiki could fix this? And then the client, I think, went another 6 or 9 months suffering, being attacked in their home before they ran into someone who knew me. And then I was able to advise them on specifically psychic protection tools. So I was just like, with the Reiki master, I was like, why did you let that person suffer? Like, the person knew, like, the practitioner knew me. They knew about my work, but they withheld, and they let that client suffer for many months being attacked in their home. I was just shocked. So we just have to let go of this belief that Reiki fixes everything. And now I know I've been a little bit intense in this video. And so I just want to bring it back to a more gentle energy and say that Reiki is a wonderful tool. If you have studied Reiki, if you use Reiki, it is a great tool. Like, for me, I would say it is the most important tool that I learned in my whole life. I use it every day for my self-care, and I've even used it in combination with other tools when I've been dealing with non-beneficial energy. Like, I had an issue where there was an entity that was trying to mess with the energy above my crown chakra. So I used some techniques to get that entity off. And then I used Reiki. I did Reiki over my crown chakra to help calm, because it like really frazzed out my central nervous system. So I was sending Reiki in to the top and the back of my head. So Reiki can be very calming. It can be very balancing. It is a wonderful support if you are dealing with psychic attack, or if you are extra sensitive to energies. It's just great for grounding, calming, harmonizing your system. But I do not recommend it to like just use Reiki symbols or use a Reiki checklist to clear off random entities if you don't know what you're like. If you are someone who is a clairvoyant and you have a skill, a natural skill at clearing entities, and you are also utilizing Reiki, that's great. But what I'm talking about are people who they've just taken their Reiki training. They don't have any training in psychic protection, and maybe their instructor taught them, oh, just follow this checklist. You can clear out any entity. Oh, you guys, you can end up in big trouble. Big trouble. Please be careful. Please be careful. So just remember to find balance. Remember that Reiki is a wonderful tool, but it's not necessarily going to fix certain things. So remember to use a variety of tools. Remember that if you have an education in Reiki, that doesn't mean that you have an education in psychic protection. You need to educate yourself. If you're a practitioner and you might be doing some psychic protection, entity, black magic cases, you need to get an education in psychic protection as well. So I've been an educator my whole life, and I know that I can teach you. And I'm assuming there are, well, I know for a fact there are other formats. There are shamanic courses out there that teach pieces of what I teach, removing entity attachments and that sort of thing. So get yourself some kind of education from somewhere where the instructors are knowledgeable and ethical. Get yourself some training so that you are not harming yourself or your clients. So remember, Reiki training does not equal psychic protection training. So if you are going to choose not to get psychic protection training, then if you have a client or yourself end up with some psychic protection issues, some serious psychic protection issues, then please consider referring that person out so that you're not doing it as a person who's not educated in how to safely do it. Hope that all makes sense. I probably gave you a lot of food for thought. So please share your comments. I'm going to give you a couple of tips, advice on how to use Reiki if you are dealing with any levels of psychic protection issues or just life. You can use Reiki to help you ground, to help you to calm yourself. You can use Reiki to help you rebalance and repair your body, your chakras, your aura, your mind, etc. after a psychic attack or during. But notice I'm not talking about just sending Reiki energy to make an entity go away. That's not the right tool. But you can use it for yourself to rebalance and repair. You can also use Reiki to strengthen your own physical vitality and your own energy field, so that if or when you do encounter some negative energy, then your system will be able to handle it better. Your system will be more resilient. Let me know what thoughts or questions or comments that you have. I hope you enjoyed this new segment called Ask Maya, and it gave me an opportunity to get up on my soapbox. And I know that I have strong opinions about certain things. And as I always tell the students in my academy, my paid program, when they ask me certain questions and I'm like, oh, maybe I know this might not be what they want to hear, but what I always tell them is, I will always tell you the truth of what I am seeing and what I believe. I'm never gonna I'll try to be kind, but I'm never gonna sugarcoat or tell you something just because I think that's what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what I believe that is the truth. So that is what I believe is the truth. To answer our question from ADCE 111, that person probably had no idea that I had so many thoughts on that question. So I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't overwhelming to you, ADCE 111. But that's what I have to say for today on the topic of utilizing Reiki for psychic protection. I do have one more thought. But one more thought before we go. Like I mentioned, there are like hundreds, I don't even know how many forms of Reiki there are nowadays in the year 2025. There are the traditional forms of Reiki, and then there are like thousands of new forms being created every day. So I'm not going to speak specifically to any specific forms, because that's generally not how I roll. I want to encourage you to establish your own discernment. But what I'm going to say is, y'all know that I talk a lot about false light entities and false light channeling. And I want to just close out by pointing out that there are plenty of, quote, Reiki, forms of Reiki, new forms of Reiki that have been channeled from false light entities that are not true, safe forms of Reiki. And I know that might be upsetting to some people, but if you've been following my work for a while and you are a questioner and a free thinker, you've probably already been questioning, really everybody, all spiritual teachers, all teachings. And so Reiki is not free from false light. There are I know specific forms of Reiki that were created that for example, the person who created it was guided by a false light entity to create this form of Reiki. So again, I'm not going to tell you which ones. The traditional forms of Reiki tend to be the safest. The newer ones that are channeled, if it's channeled from so-and-so entity, it's questionable Okay, so use your own discernment. And you, FYI, if at any point you feel that a Reiki attunement that you've received that you're like, I don't feel like that's benefiting me anymore, you can pray to have that attunement removed. If you've watched this video and you're like, I'm not sure about the blah, blah, blah Reiki form that I had an attunement to 2 years ago, sit with it, use your discernment, and you can decide that you have the authority, you have the sovereignty to remove that if you feel that it's not benefiting you. Think it over. You don't have to rush into anything. I personally still have my Usui Reiki attunements from my original teachers, but I removed my attunements from when I later did my trainings all over again through a different lineage. That lineage, I feel, was not a clean and clear lineage. I feel that there was a lot of negative interference, spiritual interference. That's my personal and professional opinion. Again, I'm not saying what the lineage was, but just giving an example that I chose to remove those attunements because I don't want those people or those energies to have access to me, and I don't want to be a part of that web. Yeah. So choose what's right for you. As always, I'm giving you more food for thought so you can question everything more and more. I look forward to a great discussion. Always keep it kind. We're all questioners, so let's open our minds and our hearts and ask questions and consider new things. And I'll be doing this Ask Maya segment again in July, and I'll be doing it every month. So anytime you post a question, like an authentic question on any of the videos, then it will be considered for the Ask Maya segment. So I'll go on a rant and talk on and teach and answer your question more than you ever thought. So that's something you could look forward to. Thank you so much, everybody. As always, sending you lots of love. If you want to find out more about my offerings or even get some free resources, go to psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. Lots of love.